there was a time we were doing a program again, an outreach program. So I met up with the DJ, a producer. His name is KB, and he's a great producer, well known. We'd never worked together, and funny enough, he's a Muslim. And so he invites me to the studio. So I get to the studio. So I start playing these beats, and then he plays this tune. And so at this point, you asked me what made me write the song. So in my marriage, my wife and I remember one time we were talking and saying, let's try, every time like in marriage, you always have to change. We'd reach a point where it's like, well, what can we try different? What should we try? And that was, I said, why don't we just take it like as if we've never been in love before and we're trying to be in love again. And where you reach a wall and you're saying, okay, start something different. Yep. Not intending to try something that has been, but trying something that has never existed before. And the thought just from that was previously the night before, and the thought was in my head of a football game. When the whistle was blown, there's only those extra minutes that if it's a stalemate 0-0, it's either you both just draw and no one can claim victory, or you have to play your hardest. And so when he started playing it, I was just like, and the first thing that came to my head is, Chicolini extra time, put everything on the line. Now what it means is, love is extra time, where you put everything on the line. Where we've reached, it's not a game. Like the place that we reached is like we have to take it seriously. It's no longer a game. So I went. There was a boy who was there. It's a young artist called Omega Carlos. I told him like, hey dude, go on, because I really didn't think much of it. And I went and I said, oh, right. But then by the time I was coming back, he hadn't written this verse. Sorry, KB's like, bro, let's just lay the vocal. I was like, okay, cool. So I start writing. So I finish off the second verse, and right then and there, we recorded. And KB just like, bro, you don't know how big this is gonna be. I was like, it's gonna be. I just have a feeling like this song. I'm just like, bro, I didn't, because that genre, that feel, it wasn't in me. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't tell what was that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. For me, it was just like, oh, something different, something I like. But I didn't know it was like
big,
really.
Yeah.
And
that sound was current, current.
Oh man! So when the day came where we dropped it, it was just like, it's one of the biggest songs. So it won me an R&B best R&B award. But what was so amazing was, I had so many people who would meet me and say, yo, man, like that song saved my marriage. That song saved my marriage. That song saved my marriage. Like,
yeah. K-County Music.
Yeah. ZayJones.com premiere.
If I told you my weakness, would you keep it a secret? Yeah. 'Cause when I feel defeated, I need someone believing. Yeah. You see, I need somebody who sees there's somebody in me. I don't want somebody to be just a body for me. I'm looking right deep in your eyes. I will not lose sight of the prize, baby. She gon' need me extra time, put everything on the line. Pa no peneta fica, baby, si pa ma sobera. She gon' need me extra time, put everything on the line. Pa no peneta fica, baby, si pa ma sobera. La última bomera.
man, I even know when my wife plays that song, I even know, bruh, I need to act right, And it was so amazing because I think, and I understood, one of the things that I've always had an issue that people bring up with is the love songs, right? So I've done over 60 songs compiled on my albums. Of all the songs, minus Extra Time, maybe I would say 66 are love songs, like in terms of, but I always say biblical. My music is biblical. Even when you don't feel like, is this a gospel song? It's biblical. Because if I took lyrics from Songs of Solomon, you'd say,
exactly.
but it's biblical.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So gospel is about Christ. The Psalms of David are not gospel, but they're biblical, right? So I say, when there's a deception that I feel the enemy has done, where he has created a persona that love songs should be interpreted by people who have no idea of love. Because even the Bible says you don't know God, you don't know love unless you know God.
Yep.
But why is the idea of a love song always considered secular? So I feel like it should come from the interpretation and the understanding of what God's love is first, before you actually say, okay, we're releasing a love song. And I think that's the part that doesn't sit well. And people say, no, problem is, and the thing is, there's always the idea of this Christian audience. And I say, like, that for me, the Christian audience is when you make them an audience, then you make them, it's what stops you to make them a client. Then you start making something that is suitable for the client.
Yep.
And the problem is, when you start seeing a Christian audience as a client, that's dangerous.
That very.
Very. So when it's
purpose goes out the door.
Exactly. So when we did the song, I felt the impact of it was really powerful, and did so much. And so I was like, okay. Then one time, it was then that God began to reveal to me during the journey that it was time to do something extremely different and out the box. So I went and made a song with the studio called Imperfect. Then I went out to SA, South Africa, and I started seeing labels. And everyone was interested in trying to get it signed and do things. And I've never released it. But I knew it was good enough to get a signing. And so many people were interested in it and different things. And then after all of that, like, God is like, okay, are you gonna trust me and understanding that what I'm giving you is great? I'm like, okay, yes, I can trust you. Okay, cool. And that's when the assignment for the new album started. So the new album is entitled Kingdom.